when we are interacting with somebody, a lot of the time, dare I say most of the time, we think we are interacting with them. But what we're actually doing is thinking thoughts about them or feeling feelings about them. I'm analyzing them. I'm exploring them. I'm judging them. I'm reflecting on something they said. Or I'm thinking how much I desire them or wanted to have a relationship with them. Or I'm thinking how much I'm repulsed by them and I'm not interested in connecting with them. I'm thinking how much I need to help them to be their savior. I'm thinking about how I'm just trying to get the money or that thing out of them that I need to get out of them. I'm thinking about if I could please them that way, then they'll validate me this way. There's all kind of things going on in there. And on the outside, you're just talking about the weather. You could be sharing a Devar Torah at the Shabbos table. You can be doing lots of things. But there's actually no relationship in there. One of the funniest things I like to watch certain people do, it's not so funny, and I can't really say I like to watch it, so I should reframe that. One of the interesting things that you see that people do a lot is this kind of model. You know, you turn to a person, they say, how are you? You go, I'm totally exhausted. I didn't sleep last night at all. And their response is, oh my gosh, I'm also exhausted. Now, when I say that, some of you laugh, and most people go, yeah, that's a normal conversation. Isn't that how people talk? When a person says to you, I'm totally exhausted, I didn't sleep last night, you say, I'm totally exhausted as well. I totally relate because my mother just got into town and the kids are off school for 3 weeks and etc., etc. So you actually did not connect to them at all. What you did is, it's kind of like your Daas is totally involved in its koitzeruach, it's totally involved in its exile, and then it tries to build relationships. So the Daas kind of, is like a little mole. It peeks out of its hole and it says, how are you? Give me information that I can take into my inner world and get lost in exile. And the person says, I'm really tired. And before they finish the sentence, you go, oh, tired. How can I relate to that? Oh, I also feel tired. Looks tired in my body. And then it just starts spitting out words relating to its own inner experience of tiredness. How's business? Business is going slow. Yeah, my business went slow. Last year I lost this much money. How's your learning? I'm enjoying going to a class. I was in that class 3 years ago. I found that a better class for me was. So what's happening is the capacity to receive, the capacity to connect, the capacity to engage doesn't really know how to get out of its own inner vortex of feelings, of emotions, of thoughts, of judgments, of criticisms, of self-awareness, as we'll discuss, self-consciousness. So it just peeks out of the hole. It grabs a piece of information. Hey, look, I connected. I got something outside of myself. And then it just spins that around and spits that back, and it calls that a relationship. Eiza chutzpah to call that a relationship. Hands up if you know what I mean. Hands up if maybe you've done that yourself. Stop it. If a person says, you say to a person, how are you? And they say, I'm tired. Your response should be, I'm sorry. No. Daniel Katz said I should say, I'm sorry. How are you feeling? I'm tired. Oh, wait, I have a note on that somewhere. Golas, Daas and Golas? No, that's the wrong page. Oh, I'm sorry. Good, I said what I needed to say. Hopefully she'll like me now because I validated her and we have an empathetic relationship, right? Sometimes the best response is Hakara and Hagasha. What's this? Daniel Katz said I should take a deep breath in and out. Do something sympathetic with my eyes. Now, I know you would say that you're sorry. I know you would say that, Jean. But that's just because someone told you the empathetic thing to say is the words, I'm sorry. No. Why would you say that?
I know how to, I'm empathizing how they feel, and I feel bad for them.
Okay, so that's the part that interests us. Because not everybody does that empathetic listening that you know how to do. And if you can tell someone be empathetic, then they'll read the script of, oh, this is how empathetic people sound. But empathy does not come from knowing the right words to say, nor does it know how to, this awful NLP stuff. This is how you reflect their body language back to them that shows like you're listening. Why not just show a person how to listen? Is that too radical? I'm not against NLP. I'm not anti-NLP. I'm just like, that whole thing is like in sales. This is how you repeat. The best salesmen know how to connect to people. But the best salesmen don't know how to fake connecting to people. Maybe they faked it till they made it, so I appreciate that. You don't say, I'm sorry. The first level of Hakar and Hagasha is to say nothing. People always ask me, what's the secret of being a good teacher? When I gave a class, I said, stood in front of a lot of up-and-coming rabbis and teachers. I said, what's the main thing you need to know to stand in front of a class and be a good teacher? What's the first thing you need to know? The first thing you need to do? So I got all the usual answers. You have to do a course in public speaking. You have to learn to have confidence. You have to learn to start with a story. Everyone knows you have to start with a story. I said, no, the secret of what a great teacher does is the first thing you do when you stand in front of a room is shut up. Don't say anything. The first thing you do is tune in, receive, feel and sense. Feel? Start to feel emotional about the audience? No. Am I thinking about the audience? Oh, who's in the room? No. You sense it. What is that sensing? If you know how to do it, you're like, Tayudati. If you don't know how you're doing, you're still waiting for me to put the pieces together. So when you get it and you didn't get it and now you get it, I want you to do a Tayudati. Now I know. That experience is Hakara Hagasha. What does it feel like for that person to be tired right now? What is the sense of who that person is? What is the sense of what time means for them? Now, I'm not saying you should say to yourself, what is that sense of who that person tired is for them? It's not an analytical endeavor. It certainly helps if you want to visualize that. It certainly helps if you want to think about it. But you can then go, wow, I see it for them. Wow, it could be like this. I can imagine it like this. What's your kitchen like? Why? What's your kitchen like? Why? Because I'm now trying to imagine you in your kitchen trying to do that. Now you're lost back in your inner world. This is a teachable skill, and you have to know how to access Daas. Hakara and Hagasha is the capacity of Daas, that when the person says, I feel tired, hurt, pain, struggling, overwhelmed, angry, that you don't respond with anything. You hold that space. These are modern terms that we use, holding a space. What does that mean? What am I holding? And as you hold that space, you are able to experience something directly that is outside of you. To experience something directly that's outside of you. And if you start thinking about it, you've disconnected from the experience. If you start saying, what feeling does that bring up for me? Disconnected from the experience. So we have to teach you to connect from a different element of consciousness. And I promise you, all spiritual experiences are based at their core, on this particular mechanism. And I promise you there's a direct relationship between empathetic listeners and people that know how to have powerful spiritual experiences. The way you live is the way you pray. The way you pray is the way you live.